The little girl looked up from her coloring book as a well-dressed woman stopped beside the picnic table. "Excuse me," the woman asked with a warm smile. "Can I sit with you? Everywhere else is full." The single dad glanced around. Half the tables in the park were empty. Something about the question didn't make sense. Still, he smiled politely. Of course. Neither of them could have imagined that one simple lunch would uncover a kindness that had quietly connected their lives for nearly 5 years. Every Saturday morning, Daniel Carter packed the same picnic basket. Turkey sandwiches. Apple slices. Orange juice. A tiny chocolate chip cookie wrapped in wax paper. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, insisted that the cookie was the most important part. Because happiness needs dessert, she'd say with complete confidence. Daniel never argued. After losing his wife, Emily, to an unexpected heart condition when Lily was only 2, Saturday picnics became their tradition. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't glamorous. But for 3 uninterrupted hours, father and daughter forgot about unpaid bills, overflowing laundry baskets, and the exhaustion that came from trying to be both parents at once. Daniel worked as a maintenance supervisor for the city of Portland. It paid enough to keep the lights on. Barely. Most months ended with careful calculations. Could they replace Lily's sneakers now? Or wait another month? Was the car's strange noise serious? Or something they could ignore until payday? He had become an expert at stretching every dollar without allowing Lily to notice. Children, he believed, deserved to carry wonder, not financial stress. And somehow, she still laughed like the world was generous. Across town, Victoria Langford spent her Saturdays very differently. At 42, she had built one of America's fastest-growing educational technology companies. Magazine covers described her as visionary. Business channels called her brilliant. Investors called her unstoppable. Yet almost no one knew that every Saturday afternoon she disappeared without security, assistants, or designer meetings. She simply drove. She visited neighborhoods, libraries, community gardens, local parks. Not because she needed publicity. Because 15 years earlier, before success arrived, strangers had quietly carried her through the darkest chapter of her life. A retired teacher had paid 1 semester of college tuition. A landlord had delayed rent for 3 months. Someone had left grocery gift cards in her mailbox without signing their name. No speeches. No cameras. Just kindness. She promised herself that if she ever had enough, she would become someone else's anonymous miracle. She established the Langford Hope Fund. Every donation remained secret. Recipients never knew who helped them. That was the rule. Kindness should never create debt. Only possibility. Nearly 5 years earlier, one application caught her attention. Applicant: Daniel Carter. Reason requested: emergency educational assistance. Not for himself. For his daughter. Lily had been accepted into an after-school reading and science enrichment program. Daniel's income exceeded the financial aid limit by less than $200. But after childcare expenses, medical debt from Emily's final hospital stay, car repairs, the program was impossible. His application ended with one sentence: if another child needs this more, please help them first. Lily already has more love than many children ever receive. Victoria read it 3 times. She approved the request immediately. Then quietly expanded it. Every year afterward. Without Daniel ever knowing. The Hope Fund renewed the scholarship. Covered school supplies. Paid field trip fees. Purchased music lessons when Lily discovered the violin. Anonymous donor. Anonymous donor. Anonymous donor. Every receipt carried the same words. Daniel always wondered who the stranger was. Every Christmas, he wrote a thank you letter addressed simply to whoever believes in my daughter. The organization forwarded every letter. Victoria kept them in a small wooden box inside her office. Whenever business became overwhelming, she read one. This Saturday, after a difficult board meeting filled with numbers and acquisitions, Victoria found herself driving without destination. She stopped at Riverside Park. Children laughed near the fountain. Dogs chased tennis balls. Families filled picnic tables. Or so she thought. Then she noticed Daniel and Lily. The little girl was explaining something with animated hand gestures while her father listened as though she were presenting the most important speech in history. No phone. No distractions. Just complete attention. Victoria smiled. She suddenly realized she hadn't eaten lunch. She carried her coffee toward the nearest table. The others look full, she said, though they weren't. It wasn't exactly true. But it felt easier than admitting. You two remind me of something I've been missing. Daniel scooted the basket. Please. Lily immediately offered her a cookie. You can have mine. Daniel laughed. Lily. What? We don't know if she wants your cookie. Victoria's eyes softened. No one's offered me dessert before introductions. I'm Lily. I'm Victoria. I'm Daniel. Within minutes they were talking as though they'd met years ago. What do you do? Daniel asked. I run a company. Like computers? Mostly educational software. Lily's eyes lit up. I love learning apps. Victoria smiled. That's good news. Daniel chuckled. I think she's single-handedly keeping educational technology alive. No, Lily corrected. Dad helps. How? He learns everything first so he can teach me if I don't understand. Victoria noticed something. Every time Lily spoke, Daniel looked genuinely interested. Not pretending. Not multitasking. Present. Completely present. It reminded her of her own father before he passed away. As the afternoon continued, Lily wandered to the nearby playground with several children after Daniel confirmed he could see her from the table. The conversation shifted. It's just the two of you? Victoria asked gently. Daniel nodded. My wife passed away. I'm sorry. Thank you. There was no dramatic pause. No attempt to earn sympathy. Just quiet truth. We're okay, he continued. Some days are heavier than others. But Lily gives me a reason to keep becoming better. Victoria looked toward the playground. She seems remarkable. She is. You've done a wonderful job. Daniel smiled. I've had help. Oh. He nodded. For years now, someone anonymous has paid for opportunities one couldn't afford. Victoria's heartbeat slowed. The school says they don't know who it is. I've tried finding out. No luck. I don't even want to repay them. He looked toward Lily. I just want them to know. His voice caught. They changed a little girl's future. Victoria looked away before emotion reached her face. Daniel continued. Lily thinks anonymous donors are superheroes. Victoria laughed softly. Does she? She says superheroes don't always wear capes. What do they wear? Sometimes, Daniel smiled, they wear regular clothes so people won't make a fuss. Victoria blinked. Those words sounded strangely familiar. Because years ago, her grandmother had told her exactly that. Kindness doesn't need applause. Only action. Lily returned carrying a dandelion. This is for you. For me? You looked like you needed flowers. Victoria accepted it as though it were priceless. I think you're right. Children often noticed what adults ignored. Weeks passed. The encounter stayed with Victoria. She found herself thinking about Daniel's quiet strength. Not because he struggled. Because he refused to let struggle define his daughter. Meanwhile, Daniel couldn't stop talking about the kind businesswoman from the park. She actually listened, he told Lily. Like you do, Lily answered. No. Daniel smiled. She listened differently. Several months later, the Hope Fund held its annual community celebration. Unlike fundraising galas, this event welcomed everyone. Families, teachers, students. Recipients remained anonymous. Donors remained anonymous. The focus was community. Daniel almost didn't attend. Lily insisted. They'll have science booths. So they went. Inside the community center stood dozens of volunteers. Children built robots. Parents attended financial literacy workshops. Artists painted murals. Near the stage hung a banner. Every life you lift helps lift another. Daniel loved the message. The event host stepped onto the stage. We'd like to thank the founder of the Hope Fund. Applause filled the room. Victoria walked onto the stage. Daniel froze. Lily. That's our picnic friend. Victoria smiled modestly. She spoke not about money. Not about success. Instead she said, every person sitting here has needed kindness at some point. The strongest communities aren't built by extraordinary people. They're built by ordinary people choosing compassion repeatedly. Daniel applauded. Then the host added something unexpected. Today we'd also like to recognize one anonymous parent whose gratitude letters have inspired our entire staff for years. Daniel looked confused. They don't know me, he whispered. The coordinator approached him. Mr. Carter? His eyes widened. You've been invited backstage. Backstage, Victoria stared in complete disbelief. Daniel? He looked equally surprised. I don't understand. The coordinator smiled. I think it's finally time. She handed Victoria a small wooden box. Inside lay every thank you letter Daniel had written. He recognized his handwriting instantly. His knees nearly gave way. You. Victoria nodded. I never intended for us to meet. You were. She smiled through tears. The anonymous donor. Silence settled between them. Not awkward. Sacred. Daniel struggled to speak. For 5 years. Victoria nodded. You believed in Lily. I believed in both of you. He looked at the letters. I kept trying to find you. I know. Why stay anonymous? She smiled. Because I wanted every gift to feel like hope, not obligation. Daniel wiped his eyes. I don't know how to thank you. You already did. She gently lifted the letters. Every single year. Lily walked in holding another drawing. She looked from Daniel to Victoria. What's happening? Daniel knelt beside her. You remember the superhero we talked about? Lily nodded. I found her. Victoria laughed through happy tears. Oh dear. Lily studied her carefully. You don't look like a superhero. Victoria smiled. I've heard that's exactly the point. Lily wrapped her in the biggest hug her little arms could manage. Thank you for helping my dad. Victoria whispered. Your dad did the hard part. Over the following years, their friendship grew naturally. Not through expensive gifts. Not through business opportunities. But birthday dinners. School concerts. Volunteer projects. Victoria became an honorary aunt. Daniel never accepted money personally. He didn't need rescuing. What he welcomed was friendship. And that proved to be the greater gift. Inspired by Victoria's example, Daniel started something of his own. Every month, regardless of how tight the budget became, he quietly paid for one child's lunch account at Lily's school. Never enough to make headlines. Always enough to help someone breathe easier. When Lily asked why, he smiled. Kindness keeps traveling. Years later, when Lily graduated from high school as class valedictorian, she stood behind the podium and looked across the audience. Her father sat proudly in the front row. Victoria sat beside him. In her speech, Lily said, "When I was little, I thought superheroes were people who saved the world all at once. Now I know they're people who quietly make one life a little brighter. Sometimes they never even tell you their name." She paused. The beautiful thing about kindness is that it doesn't stop with the person who receives it. It keeps moving. Like light passing from one candle to another, no flame grows smaller by sharing its fire. The audience rose in applause. Daniel looked at Victoria. Victoria looked at Daniel. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. One anonymous decision years earlier had become a chain of compassion stretching far beyond either of them. And perhaps that is the greatest truth about kindness. You rarely get to see where it ends. Sometimes the smallest seat you offer at a picnic table becomes the beginning of a lifelong friendship. Sometimes the person beside you is carrying gratitude you've never heard. And sometimes the greatest gifts are the ones given so quietly that only the heart remembers who first lit the way.